Welcome back. Ready to debate the appalling and unruly behavior of the Australian delegation. Some members of it we have from us with us in our studios in London. Farooq Dhondi, also from London. Sam Miller, Suhel Seth joining us from Delhi. Padma Rao is from Delhi, and G. Parthasarathy, former High Commissioner to Australia, is joining us. But first, one more news report on what happened. Appalling unruly behavior by the Australian delegation that shocked all, except perhaps the members of the CWG Organising Committee. That's why Lalit Bhanot, when questioned by Times Now on the vandalism, played down the whole controversy, prompting the question, why were these Aussie vandals let off without being brought to book? What interest do Kalmadi and his men have in covering up for their downright shocking behavior? Until this was actually reported in a newspaper, why did nobody tell us about it?
Top of the medals tally. The Australians were on a high at Delhi 2010. But these smiles giving no hint of the scandal lurking. After a few Australian athletes had gone on a drunken rampage, wrecking the Games village, shocking vandalism. But instead of penalising the athletes, the Australian authorities refused to reveal the identities of the vandals. If the Australians remained defiant, one expected the organising committee to take some action against them.
The organising committee, however, chose to shield the Australian athletes, with the organising committee General Secretary Lalit Bhanot deciding to brush the matter under the carpet.
That the damage has been done to a washing machine in the village. The CGA Australia was informed and they have regretted it. This was not against anything, not done deliberately. So they were celebrating their victory, and it has happened. It is nothing serious thing. They have agreed, they have regretted the incident, the matter is over.
1964, four-time Olympic gold medalist Dawn Fraser was suspended for 10 years by Australian officials for simply souveniring a flag at the Tokyo Olympics. One wonders how those same officials would have reacted to the news of Australian athletes throwing a washing machine out of an apartment window.
Serial offenders, the Australians being shielded. No police complaint, not even a fine. Vandals given special treatment with a little help from Bhanot and company. Bureau Report, Times Now.
First question is going out to Farooq Dhondi tonight. Farooq Dhondi, what do you think about what happened and the defence these Australian athletes are getting from the organising committee and their own High Commissioner?
Okay, the first thing is, if that washing machine had hit somebody, we would be in a murder inquiry and we wouldn't be taking this lightly. Let me say that some people are saying that this is owing to high spirits because of their victory. Other people are saying that because the Australians lost the test match to India, the Aussie Olympic team, the Commonwealth team, were venting their furies. But there is a third solution. There is a third possibility and a motive. Have you ever wrestled with a washing machine? These are terrible instruments. They can turn your white trousers into big, black, patchy, pink things. And, in the old days, one could throw one's dhobi out of the window, or one couldn't throw one's dhobi out of the window for offending. But a washing machine, when it starts offending, you get very angry with it. And I can kind of understand that you'd want to throw it out of the window if it was offending. It's like when you kick your computers.
Okay, I get your point. You're being funny there, but I'm very serious about this. This is
I'm not being funny. I said to start with that it could be a murder inquiry. Now, if you take a movie like Chuck Day, did you ever see Chuck Day? Very serious movie. In that, the Indians win. The Indian women's hockey team wins the match against the Australians. The Australians are extremely bad-mannered and ill-tempered. And I know that one of the scenes that were cut out at the end of the film were all these Australian hockey player women throwing washing machines out of their flats. It's a kind of endemic thing in Australia.
I appreciate your humour. Here's the incident. You see, these are all Australian athletes who carried out what is simply, in criminal terms, an act of vandalism. But what surprises me more, Mr. Parthasarathy, is the response of the High Commissioner of Australia, who says that this is simply a group of athletes who's having a good time, celebrating their achievements. by going on a rampage, destroying the rooms, tearing out electrical appliances, breaking it apart. What I find more shocking is the response of the High Commissioner. Suhel, just coming to you, I want to get a diplomat's perspective first before that. Mr. Parsad.
Well, firstly, Peter Verghese is an old friend. I've known him for over a decade now. But as High Commissioner, I would not have commented on a matter like this. This involves a sports team which has its own managers, which has its own administrators. After all, when the Indian team was in Australia, the cricket team, there was a huge controversy over the Monkey Gate episode. The Indian High Commissioner didn't say a word. I've had controversies in Pakistan with Indian hockey teams there. I haven't said a word. It's for the hockey authorities to do it. In this particular case, I think the High Commissioner's statement was unfortunately totally uncalled for and incorrect. I don't think he should have got involved at all in this. And secondly, I think I'll go a step further. I think why was the Commonwealth Games Committee being so apologetic? This is clearly an act of vandalism. All right, if you don't want to file a police case after the Australians have admitted culpability, then at least they should have been presented a bill and no cover-up done. Their behavior should have been exposed. The problem with the Australians is they are very, very bad losers. I mean, they treat a sports field like a battlefield.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid you've had this sort of episode before, Ricky Ponting misbehaving in Calcutta at a bar. But then nobody made a song and dance about it, and the High Commissioner didn't intervene. It was sorted out by the cricket board. So I think, as far as my friend Peter is concerned, I wish he'd stayed out of it.
No, but I mean, I don't know if staying out of it is a solution, is it, Suhel?
No, I haven't understood what this big song and dance and why Lalit Bhanot wants to be the great reconciler of the human faith. It is quite clearly a criminal act. It is destruction of public property, which thankfully doesn't belong to the Australians. If they believe that wrestling with a washing machine can win them the next medal, that's another thing. They should have clearly, the organizing committee and some of their reasonably corrupt and inept officials should have filed a complaint with the local police station, which is in the Games village, rather than holding up and defending such unruly, intemperate behavior. I mean, why on earth does Lalit Bhanot and his fellow colleagues not use their little brains? I mean, it's a simple act of vandalism.
No, why do we put up with
it? We put up with it. We put up with it because we believe compassion is part of our DNA.
Compassion.
Not realizing that sometimes kindness is taken for weakness. Their own Australian athlete in 1964, the lady Dawn, who was a swimmer, stole a flag outside Emperor Hirohito's palace and was banned for a year. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Longer,
and
good
for
point.
Peter Verghese to say...
No, longer actually, Suhel.
To now say that it's a high-spirited thing. Well, if it's so high-spirited, get the Australian High Commissioner residence vandalized, and then let's see how spirited Peter Verghese will be in his comments.
Simple question is, how would it be if a group of Indian athletes tore apart, for example, say their living quarters at the London Olympics, broke the entire furniture, tore apart the electrical appliances, threw washing machines down? We'd like to know whether there would be anyone in London covering up for them. I don't know. Sam, what do you think? You're there in London. What do you think?
I think actually for years people have been covering up for sports people and pop stars because they're very well paid. They're very important to TV shows like this. We sort of fall at their feet all the time. And they get carried away and behave extremely stupidly, sometimes criminally stupidly. In this particular case, I'm slightly worried by this story. You've addressed it in a very inflammatory way, and yet we haven't been given the story. We don't know where the story's coming from. Who's actually saying this? What are the Australian athletes saying? We haven't been able to identify any of the Australian athletes, so far as I know.
That's very interesting.
I'm just slightly uncomfortable with condemning everyone on a story where there seem to be lots of gaps. It's probably true what you're saying, but it does seem that we're missing quite a lot of information.
Let me share the details with you, Sam, and with all our viewers. What Times Now is putting out has been confirmed by multiple sources. Multiple levels of sources have confirmed that this is what happened.
What eyewitnesses saw this? I want to know what eyewitnesses saw this. That's really what I want to know.
It was 4 o'clock in the morning, Sam.
This has been confirmed by the police.
People aren't exactly...
No, this has been confirmed by the police. There are reports that there is CCTV footage. Police sources are telling us they have been told not to release the CCTV footage because they don't want to embarrass the Australians. My question is this to Padma, why are we so bothered about whether we are embarrassing the Australians? We should expose them.
Absolutely. I think we should, well, I don't know about, on the one hand, Arnab, like everyone else, there's a great sense of relief that the games are over. And I would like to believe that Mr. Bhanot was just simply too fatigued to want to do anything about, after all, it was just a washing machine and not more than that. And as Mr. Dondi was saying, the washing machine wasn't flung at someone. But on the other hand, does it surprise you at all that it was the Australians? Think of the wrestler. Think of the wrestler who used a four-letter word to the judges. Think of followed by the cyclist who showed the finger up to the judges. So all those events happened within the framework of the same Commonwealth Games that were held in Delhi.
What surprises me...
by the time we got to the washing machine, it surprised no one at all.
What surprises me... What surprises me... I mean, how can we take this lightly? What surprises me is that this is the same country...
Absolutely.
This is the same country which suspended... It suspended one of its biggest athletes in 1964 because the person stole a flag from a flagpole outside Emperor Hirohito's house.